Alright, y'all, boy, we're back. It's time for another certified hood classic, man. And no, today's video will not be about any more Drake or Kendrick beef. And no, I'm not going to talk about the P. Diddy drama either, because we've all seen what happened. There's not really much I need to talk about. It's all pretty straightforward. And no, this also won't be a review on Gunna's latest project, because that would basically just be me falling asleep on camera for an hour just like everyone else did. And no, this also won't be a review on the latest Taylor Swift album, because that would also just be me falling asleep on camera for like a solid hour. Instead, this is going to be more of a critique on just the modern music sphere, especially more on the mainstream side, with it starting to tread a very thin line between capitalist greed and any sort of organic value that even comes out of mainstream music nowadays. Like, for example, when I look at a lot of complaints of modern hip-hop, the one thing I'm tending to see is that there are no big names coming out of today's rap scene. And if I'm being honest, they're kinda right. The talent pool has grown exponentially thanks to the likes of social media. And I mean, even as a guy who wants to always get in tune as much as possible with all kinds of music from all kinds of corners, even I can't even keep up with the number of artists that come out of nowhere nowadays. And a lot of it tends to come straight out of the record label's pockets, with them even using the same gimmicks that we've already seen years before, because I mean, who's actually paying attention, right? And when you take a look at today's music quality, it's all became very TikTokified now, like everything else within the entertainment industry, becoming more shorter, quicker, catchier, or just straight to the point. Because now we have sped up versions of songs, slowed down versions, remix versions, acapella versions, instrumental versions, chopped and screwed versions, Taylor Swift versions. Like, at this point, I'm not surprised that there's like some Eastern European remix of Wildest Dream by Taylor Swift in somebody's discography. I think a prime example of this is with French Montana and how he had that whole 126 song rollout for Mac and Cheese 5, with only 21 of those songs actually being original, and the other 105 just being a bunch of remixes and instrumentals and whatnot that I don't like. I don't, who would even want that? I mean, who would seriously want to wake up and say, yes, I want to listen to 126 French Montana tracks? And of course, I'm not saying that French Montana is organic in any fashion, but what I am saying is that he's a good example of how greed and desperation are getting very much out of hand within the mainstream music scene. And it's funny to think about how French and his team has put in so much effort to try and get those numbers up, you know, try and get those sales numbers up, and just for him to end up only selling 32K and not even make the top 10 on the Billboard 200. But while I could talk about greed and hip hop all day, instead, let's switch to genres. We're going to talk about every white girl's favorite white woman, Taylor Swift. Now, I could talk about how she uses a jet so much to the point where she can't even go to the corner store without hopping in a Boeing 757, or how she almost got roped into the FTX scandal, but thankfully she was smart enough to read the fine print. But since this is a channel about music and content about music, let's just stick to the music here. So if there's one thing about Taylor Swift that we all know, is that she has a very overly dedicated fan base. I mean, for real, dog. If Taylor Swift was making music back in the 1960s, she'd probably be the mascot of the KK. Alright, Taylor, yeah, if you're watching this, I did not mean what I said. Please do not cease and desist and take down my channel and video. I love 1989 Taylor's version. But going back to the point, I think Taylor Swift have became very aware of just how dedicated her fan base is. Because, I mean, when you look back at her previous projects now, it's all just been redid versions of her older albums. So Taylor Swift can rake in that sweet trust fund money from some poor delusional girl from Idaho. But she also did this because now she can own the masters to her work. And when you want to look up, you know, those Taylor Swift albums for the nostalgia, why not just listen to the new and improved Taylor's version? And then there's also this big ass tour she's been doing since like March of last year now, called like the Eras Tour, and it's still currently going, by the way, and it has generated over $1 billion in revenue with 152 shows going all around the globe. And if you think the money bags couldn't roll in anymore, she's also did a theatrical release of her show for the people who can't even afford to go to a Taylor Swift concert, and that's also managed to rake in $267 million at the box office. And then, just to keep the ball rolling, she also dropped another album called the Tortured Poets Department, which is definitely a name that an edgy teenager in 9th grade would have came up with, but we'll just move along. But when talking about the album, it's been getting pretty divisive reviews, with some people saying that it's a 2-pack of ass, and other people saying that it's another certified hood classic from the OG Taylor. Now, I did listen to the album myself, and before I give my opinions, I just want to say to all the Taylor Swift fans that are listening, I am a minority, a part of a historically oppressed group in America. So before you want to harass me for criticizing your Lord and Savior, I want you to take that black square out of your Instagram post. But to keep it a buck, this album would absolutely slap in your local Target. This album was made for people who clap when a plane lands. This album is meant for the middle-aged Karens who complain to the teenage part-time worker why something isn't in stock. I mean, albums like this are genuinely what made me stop reviewing music. Like, this is the most blandest, uninspiring, cheap, pumped out, straight out of the fucking sludge bullshit I've probably ever heard. But at the same time, this album sold 2.6 million first week. At this point, I'm so serious when I say this, right? I think Taylor Swift could probably make an hour-long recording of Travis Kelce taking a piss, and that could also sell 2.6 million first week with how dedicated her fan base is. And I guess this would lead into the other point that I'm trying to make about just how, you know, parasocial relationships are starting to grow thanks to the likes of, you know, COVID and just social media and everything like that. And at the same time, it's allowed these artists to take advantage of that fact and be able to kind of just pump out whatever garbage they feel because they know it's just going to sell. I mean, prime example, you can take a look at Drake. And I know I said I wouldn't talk about Drake. Stop booing me. I know I said I wouldn't talk about Drake. Just let me cook. Let me cook. All right, so if we're going to keep it a buck, all right, so Drake hasn't dropped like a solid project in like 8 years now. And it's became pretty clear as he's gotten more and more mainstream that the guy kind of just doesn't really give a fuck about the musical integrity part of his career. And he's definitely just making stuff that's just good for like the TikTok trends. And you can do just a little bit of dances too. Like, well, what do the kids do now? A little bit of, hold on, let me. This is what the kids are doing now. Hold on, let me. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't have kids. You could just take a look at his lyricism and the song structure that he's had in these albums these past couple of years, and you could just clearly see that the guy has greatly just diminished that musical creativity, whatever part, just more for in favor of just making trendy songs, you know, just trying to get those Billboard hits. And it also definitely doesn't help on the fact that this guy also has a lifetime contract with UMG. So it's like, he can just pump out whatever crap he wants to because both UMG and him know they have overly dedicated fan bases. They will forever and always go number one. I mean, even with the current Kendrick drama, Drake can always just recover because it's Drake. You know, he's one of, if not the most commercially successful hip-hop artists of all time. How much damage can you really do to the man? I guess it just annoys me because it's becoming more and more clear that, you know, mainstream music is now deciding just to get the bag first and kind of just toss the whole musical quality thing to the side now. That's what it feels like. I mean, I'm having more enjoyment listening to artists with like less than 50K listeners on Spotify than somebody who has millions and millions of dollars and has resources that could stretch a mile for them. I mean, maybe it's because once you reach the top and there's nowhere else left to go, I mean, do you really even have to focus on musical creativity at that point? I mean, it's like, you know, you're the #1 artist now. Is there anything else you need to do? I mean, what else do you have left to prove at this point? But at the end of the day, corporate greed has always been a thing within the entertainment industry. It's the exact reason why Adam Silver hasn't addressed the real issues that come with sports gambling. You know, music is a fun and beautiful way to express oneself, but at the end of the day, it is a business. And when it comes to the super mainstream stars of today, if expressing yourself means selling out for that Sprite commercial, they're going to do it. But that's all I really wanted to say on this topic for this video. I know it kind of feels like a yapathon, but I don't know. Just treat this as a filler between last week's video and the upcoming week's video, all right? I just want to say thank y'all for watching. Thank you for all of the amazing support that you've given me. These past couple of videos for like a little minute now have definitely been very motivational for me. Y'all showing a lot of love, man. And all I want to do is just keep pumping out beautiful content for y'all beautiful people. I really wish the person who is cutting grass wouldn't do that shit on a Monday morning. But thank y'all for watching. I have to edit this video now. Y'all stay easy. I don't know. Love yourselves. Peace.
مستراح شرينا لنا كامبو جديد